I think the greatest benefit for me of being part of Adelaide Fringe is it's kind of like a big life moment. It's an incredible thing to feel that you're part of something so enormous, so prestigious, and yet so experimental and creative. My name is Gill Hicks and I am an Adelaide Fringe artist. This was my first year of being a Fringe artist in Adelaide. And for me, it's a very personal experience because I've always been part of an audience and absorbed the energy that happens in Adelaide when Fringe is on. But to be an artist was a whole other experience. And for me, it was a moment where I felt complete. I felt whole. I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be able to do something like Fringe. Being a disabled performer, I have one lung, I have half an eardrum, so I'm quite deaf. I've lost both of my legs. I was sort of worried about the endurance of what Fringe may take out of me. I went away and I thought, why not? Why not? And so I put in it for a grant application and I thought, well, I'll let that be the decider. And I remember pushing send on my computer and almost not thinking another thing about it. Almost living in that strange space between, well, it probably won't happen, and talking myself out of it, and then getting a response back of, you have the grant. And it was that giddy kind of excitement, but then the realisation sinking in of, I'm going to be doing Fringe. I'm going to be doing Fringe. And it was sort of running through the house going, I'm going to be doing Fringe. It just came together like a very natural flow, and I couldn't push it and I couldn't prod at it. It just came together and flowed, and it was just amazing. Before I knew it, there I was, opening night. So without the Adelaide Fringe's support, I simply wouldn't be able to do Fringe. There was some really incredible, very emotional moments. Part of my story was talking about my experience of knowing death and re-emerging in a very different life. And live watching were some of my rescuers and some of the fellow survivors. To share with a live audience in the theatre, to say, please, give a wave and an acknowledgement to Brian, who was a paramedic, or to Richard, who was a fellow survivor. That not only made the show very intimate and special, but it gave a sense of this is real. And even though these people are based in London, we're connected right now in this moment together. And that was phenomenal. It was tangible. You could feel that experience in the room. It really was something very emotional. We ended up having a complete sellout 12 shows, which was, the dream because of the reduced capacity. So I learnt a lot. I learnt that even in a time of great adversity and panic, if you can find the way to let the creativity take over and keep having fun, because these things made me smile and laugh, and that is the stuff that people are drawn to, where they just want to forget about their lives for an hour and come and have fun. Adelaide Fringe has taught me many things, but there was something that happened off stage that was actually one of the most precious memories for me. And that was the camaraderie that happens in the dressing room, in the backstage. There is definitely a sense of family, and that happens immediately. So The Adelaide Fringe business side of what I learnt was extraordinary. I think because it was a time and is a time of pandemic, it's really meant that we've had to think quite creatively about how we're talking to an audience, how we're enticing an audience, how we're keeping an audience safe. And for me, I woke up in the middle of one night and just thought, QR codes. I've got to get my show on a QR code and I'm going to put it on jewellery. So I created all of these rings with my QR code on it and necklaces, and everywhere I went, people would be completely, enthralled by what's that ring? What's on your ring? And it was great because what it meant was that I didn't feel the pressure of having to sell, that the salesmanship was actually a great conversation about what was on my jewellery. My journey to Edinburgh began at the Fringe Awards ceremony, and we came thinking how wonderful again just to be part of this, to be here at the awards ceremony, never expecting to get the Edinburgh Award. And I remember the Premier reading out the recipient.
Still alive and kicking.
And almost that delay of listening to my name and the show title came up, and I thought, that's my show. That's me. We've won the Edinburgh Award. I'm a double amputee. I can't feel the ground anyway, but I can imagine if I had legs, I would have felt like I was floating on air. It was absolutely incredible. I am so excited that we've got two parts to our Edinburgh presence. Our first part is with Joanne and Tom and Black Box Live, and we'll be doing an on-demand show of Still Alive and Kicking. The other part is that we're going to be projecting onto a building. So the vision is to be big on a building and projected from the lab here in Adelaide and be big in Edinburgh. So look out for a giant tutu wrapping around a building. Absolutely, I've got the bug. So I've been bitten by Fringe, and it's absolutely the best bug to ever have.